Good evening.
Hi.
How are you?
Hello. I'm fine. A little tired, but that's what a work day is about.
I totally understand that.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I feel like it's, after the 30th, you won't see me until August at the meeting.
That's fine. It's important. It's important that you rest your body and your mind.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm sure.
But it's great. We've gotten a lot of great work done. So
Oh, yes,
that's
true.
exciting.
It's always nice to be able to help the community. That's for sure.
Yes. And that we have done. And yeah. It reminds me I don't need to, worrying about something doesn't change anything.
No, but
especially when you get to the end and it's all okay anyways.
Sure,
That's
it changes something. It raises your blood pressure for no reason.
Well, that's why
That is
I'm
true.
on medication,
Not so you can worry.
Just wanted to let y'all know that it's 7 and I'm gonna let in Steven. It looks like he's the only member of the public that we
Steven is actually Steven, I was thinking about him earlier, and you all can tell me he's on the Health and Safety Committee.
He is.
yeah.
So I think that anything that has to do with health and safety issues, he has a vote on. Is that right or not?
That's correct. He does.
That includes our budget stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So he will have the ability to vote tonight.
Yay. Hey, Stephen, you're a voting member. Ha-ha.
Yeah, I think so. Do you understand how that works, Stephen?
I didn't hear the first part of the conversation. I just joined.
So because you, according to our charter, because you are on the Health and Safety Committee, anytime that you're on a committee, even though you're not on the board, you do have a right to vote on any issues that are under that committee. And tonight, pretty much almost everything we are going to talk about is going to be from the Health and Safety Committee.
Woo.
We're not talking about payment for invoices for the History Project.
No, but we did finally get some checks, so we're going to take care of that for you.
Yay.
Great.
We didn't get those until yesterday, so.
Cool. If you get the check to me, I will hand deliver it with apologies.
Right, and we will, I have a note. I actually sent a note to Den and Drew, who you all will meet here shortly.
Hi, Drew.
Oh, there's Drew, everyone. Say hello. Drew, I did send I need if you can email me again and send who we make it out to and exactly what it's for. Just so I don't have to go search for your 5 or 6 other emails. That would be really appreciative. And thank you so much for your patience.
Okay, so you want all the information again?
If possible, yes.
Would you like me to copy it to anybody?
Yeah, you can copy it to Drew and Den.
Shall I use Den's EFN address or his Gmail address?
Yeah. We actually Googled it, and the EFN address is perfectly safe according to Google.
Okay, good. So I will resend what I sent to Den way back to Den and you and Dre.
Drew.
Drew.
Yes. And then we'll get you a check for $70.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm very sorry about that.
But it does look like we're getting all our financial stuff settled out, so it's just a matter of time.
Okay.
And a short time at that.
And Drew's email address is?
Drew?
What are you sending?
He's sending what is an invoice that you're going to need to write a check for.
I'm gonna plop it. I'm gonna plop one in chat.
Yep, that's the best way to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
There you go.
I got lost. Okay. Do you think, are we missing anyone, Saoirse?
We should be good.
Okay, great. So welcome to the WCC June 1st, 21st board meeting. This meeting is predominantly to do board business, but we do have 10 minutes at the beginning where we ask for public comment. So why don't we go ahead and do that now? Do we have any public comment? Hi, Savannah. How are you?
Good. I wasn't answering because I saw Stephen's hand up.
Oh. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, other than the invoice, I just wanted to say I'm meeting with Dr. David Lewis tomorrow, and we'll be getting a progress report and comparing notes between his research and my research. So we're getting very close to the draft report from David Lewis. A little bit behind time, but it's very thorough work. That was all I had, just an update on the David Lewis meeting.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the work that you put into this. I know it's been a lot, and I know we've had a couple of bumps in the road, but I think we've really gotten to the other side. So I'm excited about that. And Savannah?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Savannah. I'm new. I've never been to a WCC meeting. I volunteer at the Alluvium Community Center, and I'm just coming in to see what y'all are doing and just kind of like sitting in to listen. I don't know like if that's only for the 10 minutes or what the protocol is.
So just basically we have 2 meetings a month. We have a general meeting, which we had last month, and we bring in speakers, we talk about things, and everybody talks, there's questions, answers. And the second Wednesday of the month, we have a board meeting, and the first 10 minutes are for public comment if people want to bring things to the board. And then after that, we just ask, we tell you you're welcome to stay, observe, see what's happening, find out what's happening in the community with us. We just ask for people to not comment on anything while we're talking about, we're making decisions regarding money, that kind of thing.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks,
All
Margaret.
right. Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thea? You're on mute, Thea. I can't hear you.
Sorry. I can either turn my camera on or turn mute off. I can't do both. Welcome, Savannah and Drew. Nice to meet you. Just a reminder, postcards went out about the dog park today for WJ, and my mother tried to fill out the postcard or go online and take the survey, and the link didn't work. So I'm going to double check it because my mother is not necessarily technologically savvy. And sometimes she gets in a hurry.
Nor is the city of Eugene.
Yeah, I do understand that. So I will check it later to see. And then maybe at the end of the meeting, I will say a little something about Oakshire. But other than that,
Fantastic.
camera off.
Thank you very much. Do we have your hands up, Thea? Are you just waving to say, hey, woohoo, guess what? Are there any more public comments? Okay, so we're gonna move on. I have a few announcements to make. First of all, I would like
Mark,
to, yes.
Didn't we have a public comment emailed into us previously? Do you think it would be appropriate to?
No, actually, I
read
put her
that?
on the agenda.
Okay, excellent.
Is she not going to make it?
I'm not sure, but she had communicated that her reception might be a bit spotty.
Correct.
And,
And then I did forward her email to everyone. But I was going to ask how everyone wanted to deal with that
Okay.
during my announcements. But I told her I would put her on the agenda, and I did.
Awesome.
She
Thank
was
you.
second, but so and thanks for reminding me. But first, let me introduce Drew, or Andrew. He goes by either. We started calling him Drew just simply because he was getting confused. It was confusing between Andrew and then Andrew from last year, who was
Andrew
our
and Andrew.
treasurer. But now he's the only Andrew. So, what would you prefer, Drew?
You know, I really either is fine. In an academic and professional setting, I've been Andrew forever. So if when I'm hearing Drew, I'm generally more chummy, it's friends and family. Andrew is a little more pro mode. So let's maybe go with that, but I'm open to anything.
Okay. Do you want to tell us anything about yourself, or should we just skip that and just keep right on going?
You can know briefly that you'll see me walking or running around the neighborhood a lot. I'm an avid ultramarathon runner. I'm also an equally more avid long-term cyclist. I am probably murder, kill. One of my big priorities is preventing bike theft. I'm just going to put that out there for other funding cycles, projects galore. That's a soapbox.
You need Brad.
I've been a licensed tax
Claire's here,
professional.
so
I'm a licensed tax professional and been in the world of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax preparation for just over 20 years, which is hard to believe. And I've been one time community council member attendee when it was held in a little hut in front of the school at the Whiteaker school.
Right.
So I've been in and out, and I've grown up in the neighborhood.
fantastic.
Lived overseas for a bit and come right back. How's that?
That's great, and it's I know to many of us it was important to bring someone that is a little vested in the neighborhood as well on a personal level. So I'm really excited about that. So really quick, ice cream social. I need to look up the dates, but I did find out that the city will give us $400 for our budget. 200 of it can go towards food, and $200 of it can go towards other things. So we're going to figure that out. The city's paying for it. We already agreed to have an ice cream social. I believe, do we need to vote on that, Thea?
I thought we voted on that way back when, but I could be wrong.
Right, and we're not spending our money, we're spending the city's, and actually Julie had put it on on one of the schedules for Scobert Park, when it's the family and game day, which is perfect. And
what's the date?
it's on a Saturday, and she's going to bring like cornhole, and we're sponsoring it, meaning that there's no basically we got Emily Proudfoot made it so that we could get free permits for anything that we do inside of the park to help keep activity happening in there, which the neighbors really appreciate.
What are the dates? What's the date of the ice cream social?
That's a good question. It's
It
on a
is-
Saturday in
Just
August.
a minute, I'm pulling it up, guys. It is August 26th.
So I would ask that you all put that on your calendar, because it will also be a day. And for you too, Drew, if you would like, and Doriandra, that you come and meet the community. We have an ice cream. We're gonna try to get a truck, and I've reached out to my friend that I already talked to that did it last time. What's up, Anand?
So that's a topic for discussion, I think. The reason we went to the ice cream truck was because of COVID. COVID
Yep.
is no longer an issue. So
That's
I think
correct.
I think we should think about is, do we want to continue the truck, or do we want to go back to what we were doing before, which was there are ice cream places that are actually based in Whiteaker. Prince Puckler's has an office here. Bliss International, that used to be Coconut Bliss, is over there on First and Madison. So the question is do we want to continue the truck, or do we want to go back to what we were doing previously? I'm up either way, but I think since conditions have changed, we should at least discuss what the options are.
Those are great questions. Thea?
So one of the things we have to consider is if we're dishing ice cream out, we have to have food handler cards. And that means whoever doesn't have a current one, we need to go take the test. And I don't know the cost of it. And it's been a long time since I've taken one. Saoirse has one. So,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Thea.
so that would be something that would have to be considered.
And there are other things that have to be considered. I read them the other day. I don't remember exactly what they were, but since we're using the city's money, there are things that we have to do regarding that, certain guidelines that we have to be under. And actually, when I first became chair, Thea took me to meet. We went to Cindy Kohler and went to her office, and she suggested getting an ice cream truck or a cart or something along those lines, and how that would just easily flow by. And that would also make it so that we could all just stand around and be social. So any other comments about that? Yes, and Claire, and it would be faster. And it is, like I said, it's there, it's the city's money. So you know how we get a budget every quarter from the city? We've talked about it. That's how we've always thought that we got that money to do a mailer. Is everyone familiar with what I'm
Yes.
talking about? Well, that money can also be used for other things like this. Last year we did one mailer and we only used a tiny bit of the money. If you guys have read any of the emails that I'm forwarding you, the city is redoing the budgets for neighborhood associations, partly based on the fact that people don't take advantage of the money. So if they're gonna pay for it, and it's something that would benefit our neighborhood, I don't see why we wouldn't use it.
Are you talking about the matching grants program, Margaret?
No, I'm talking about, we have a budget as a neighborhood council that we get quarterly. It's not matching grants at all.
How much is that?
Well, that's there now. They're changing it. Right now, Thea, do you remember how much it is?
I believe it's the $400, but that's what they're committing to so far. They're still working on the budget, and it may go up from there per quarter, I believe.
Yeah, that traditionally has only covered the cost of a few mailers during the year. $400, split over the entire neighborhood for mailing is about one or two mailers.
Right.
I think it's more than that, actually. And they do it quarterly.
Right, but that's what they have
Right.
right now because they're still working on the budget. Until they get their budget. The city's budget is all up in arms right now.
But she told me specifically that there is part of the money that is allocated for us to use for, like, is that me?
It looks like it was Den. I just muted it so that we could continue on with conversation.
Oh, it is Den. Thank you. So it's coming up pretty quick. It's in August. We're not having a meeting until August. we actually have talked about doing an ice cream truck previously when Cindy was at the last meeting. Is everyone okay if we do that? Do we need to put that up for a vote? Because I thought we already did, like Thea said. Okay. Just really quick. So, our 2021 taxes were just completed. I have talked to our lawyer a little bit regarding a few things, our QuickBooks being one of them, due to the fact, based on a recommendation from the lawyer and based on what Drew found in QuickBooks. I was instructed by the lawyer. He said it would be best to just reach out to Moxie Accounting, tell them that we've had some changes within and that we just want to take a once over really quick and take a look at it. We have already paid them $700. That was paid in April before I started. And I believe, let's see, did I keep it out? We still owe them $800 and something, which we can talk about in August, because we're still, we want to make sure the taxes are right, and that's something that Drew's working on. That's just to let you know. And Thea is going to talk a little bit at the end, but remember our next meeting is at Oakshire, from 7 to 9. Come meet the board, city officials. No meeting in July. So I sent everyone an email that was from Jen, regarding the Whiteaker community market and us doing, they are under our umbrella as far as us being a nonprofit, and we have helped them get grants before. And what happens is that we just funnel the grants through our system, and then I think, Saoirse, what is it that we take a percentage of that, or how does that work? Can you explain what I'm talking about here?
Yes, historically there has been a handling or processing fee for the funds, and that has been 5%.
And are you familiar with what I'm talking about with the grant, so I don't have to go into my email and find it and read it? Are you comfortable talking about it?
I can screen share it, Margaret.
That would be great. So in essence, what it is, and actually I went to the market last week, and it was great, is that the Whiteaker Community Market has been handing out $5 gift coins to all the kids, and the kids can spend it on fruit, a vegetable, whatever it is that they want within the market.
So what it is for kids who are 12 years old and under, whenever they attend the Sunday market, they're able to check in at the info booth and get a $5 token to spend on fresh fruit, vegetables, mushrooms, legumes, or edible plant starts. And then we reimburse our farm vendors for the tokens that are turned in at the end of the day. So your dollar is going a very long way in that step. You are getting food and edible plant starts into families regardless of income. You're getting kids interested in purchasing and learning about local food and connecting with farmers. And then you're also getting additional funding to small farmers. So it's kind of a win-win-win-win for everyone.
So this, I think this is a great thing, and I think we should just do it. The only thing that I see is that it does say that we would have to be the ones to apply for the grant. So is there anyone that's willing to step up and do that?
So just to clarify, we will write the grant, like we'll fill out the questions and we'll prepare the grant for you. But we cannot actually create like a portal for ourselves because we are not a nonprofit. And so you, as our fiscal sponsor, would actually have to apply the grant, but we'll do the labor of putting it together for you.
So Dan, if this passes, are you okay with doing that? I can't hear you.
I'm unmuted now, I think. I was just going to say, Sarah Weiss, if you would submit your application to us and let us review it as a board, and then we can go forward from there.
Absolutely, yes. And I just do want to clarify for the members of the public, I'm speaking right now in my role as a market manager for the Whiteaker Community Market, just to clarify some of these questions because Jen isn't here.
Is there a time frame? Because we don't have another meeting until August.
Yeah, I am not actually sure of the specifics of the time frame for this grant. But I think that as long as the board is comfortable with us pursuing this and submitting a copy of our application for approval, that it would be okay to proceed, like for us to proceed without needing to meet again.
Right. So I will go ahead, Thea.
I'll make a motion that we proceed that you send us an application.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
I think you have to actually go with discussion before the vote, right?
Okay, I thought we just did that, but is there any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Am I able to vote in this? Or should I
Seriously?
abstain?
I would think it would be better if you abstain.
I would think so too.
Okay, then I'll abstain.
May I stop sharing screen?
Yes, I'm fine with that. Does someone
Is everybody else okay?
Claire, are you writing this down?
No, I I thought we had the.
Yeah, but it doesn't show the hands up. I mean, the recording's on, but for our minutes, we need to show how many people voted yes.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought someone else was handling the written minutes. I thought that was something that was figured out. I can go back and watch the recording because I'm eating dinner.
Okay, well, we do have the nod set up permanently so that the
the Fathom application does both video as well as the notes for everything.
Yeah, but we still need to know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
How many people
absolutely
voted yes?
Let's just revote and we can record it out loud.
Yeah, I vote yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, Saoirse, since you're abstaining, can you count the yeses?
Yeah.
And
Is Thea voting?
all right, are we good? Are there any abstentions or noes? Fantastic. So I also
I think Marcus and Claire both had a question.
Okay, Marcus.
No, but sorry, my hand was just up.
She was just voting yes. Thank you, Claire. Marcus, did you have a question?
I was also just voting.
Thank you, sir. And last but not least, I make a motion to batch approve all the minutes from this current board term up through the last WCC meeting.
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion? All those in favor? Do we have somebody counting the votes?
Yes.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 yeses.
Do we have any nays or any abstentions? Fantastic. Motion passes. Okay, so I'm going to hand the floor over to Doriandra and Drew. They have, we've all been working very hard to get ready to close the housing grant out, which we have about 9 days left, as well as the tobacco grant. So Doriandra, the floor is yours.
Okay, Margaret, thank you. Drew, I think, were you set to go first? Or did we?
I absolutely am. Shall we walk through a summary of where we're at with the grant and how it's looking so far?
Is that okay,
think you'll-
Margaret? Or did you want us to switch?
I want you to do whatever you want to do. I just delegated. You guys are, it's up to you. I mean, maybe you can explain what he's about to do, Doriandra. That it might help, so everybody knows what they're looking at.
Okay, well, let's see. I think, yeah, what Drew is about to explain to you is how we are balancing the complexities of multiple grants. We are in the home stretch of the large CBO grant, which included 2 subsections. The first was the one called Community Engagement Team. We refer to it as CET, and that had the funding in it that provided our ability to do a lot of the public health awareness issues about COVID hesitancy or COVID vaccine hesitancy. It ran our clinics. It supported the co-location of health services, and pretty much everything during the pandemic was in part funded by that part of our grant. The second aspect of this larger CBO grant, CBO standing for Community-Based Organization grant, is the Emergency Rental Assistance Program that we are in the home stretch for. This was the largest bucket of funding that we received from the CBO grant, and it's been the most complex in that we've had the largest kind of interface with community. Many applicants. I believe I processed over 368 applicants through the entirety of it. It was launched November 1st and is closing again in 9 days, as Mark said. So this is our home stretch, and Drew has provided an amazing snapshot for that and some of the larger stuff. I will just point out real quick, if I can share this, I'd love to share our numbers, our final, let's see. Sorry, just 1 second here. Let me see if I can pull this up for y'all. This is pretty fun to look at, and this will really kind of help explain Drew's work here, because it is a lot. Okay, let me try that one more time. These are the fun closing numbers that we can report on tonight. And I'm not sure if you guys can see that screen, or it's a little hectic. Can you see that, Margaret? Yep, okay, perfect. Why don't we share the large one? Oh, sorry. I'm gonna cancel that. Oh goodness, technical issues. Sorry, folks. Let's see if I can get. Okay, I think I'm just gonna read them to you because we're not. This is not working. It's just not closing out. Okay.
What happens if you click done?
I say click done.
I keep clicking done. It's not catching. There's too many things open. So let me try again here. Oh, but Jesus. Let's see. Okay, now I got that sorted. Let's try this. Boy, there is a lot of technical issues on this end. Sorry, folks. I'm going to read you the totals, and we'll go forward when I can get this sorted. In total, now we have served 55 families. 46 of those families were kept in their homes. We processed evictions, so we stopped evictions and court orders were reversed. Supported aid through people experiencing work lapses due to mental illness, surgeries, major illnesses. Also, a lot of those folks in there were COVID long haulers, which needed support to get back on their feet and stay in housing. 9 of our 55 total families were moved from unhoused situations into stable rentals. Of that 9 group, there were some domestic violence folks that were suffering. Also, a lot of parents with kids that were living in cars. So it's really empowering to realize that of the 55 total families served, there were 68 children involved in that landscape. So yeah, great work and super proud of that. So, okay, take it away, Drew. I think you're muted.
You're muted, Drew.
There's a train going by. That's a testament to why that I really am in the neighborhood. I live a block away. I need to remind myself sharing screens, and that's the one I want. Here we go. So how do we wind up with 235,000 down here? That's a target, what we're had to spend. How we did this, rent payments from the top here, amounts paid to landlords to keep people in homes in and around, contractors, anything in bold here is a subtotal as we're working towards our target. We have some advertising to make this program aware and known to folks. There's some outstanding rent checks to pay. There are just a tiny bit in supplies. This really all went to actual use of money for rent purposes, not superfluous stuff. As indirect expenses is, call it a handler's fee, odds and ends that isn't necessarily a direct expense, but somehow had its a say in our budget and making the work we do happen. In total, then, we're at 232,000, this 940, I'm a tax person, so I usually round up to the nearest dollar, 941, which puts us at a remaining $2,059.08 to spend to be absolutely on the money with making this happen. Impressive work. A quick, what's down here is a quick bank account analysis. There's other grant money rolling in, so this looks overinflated. We know that we can't spend some of this. Total money is sitting in checking accounts currently because it's earmarked for other things. We have checks that haven't cleared. This is coming up again, checks we need to pay, and it looks to me like we're left over with about $18,000, $19,000 that'll more than cover our the $2,059 to perfectly balance this grant, and it's 9 days. Questions, comments, concerns? And we'll stop screen sharing if there's no questions in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Thea has a question.
Oh, sorry, what do you got?
Thea, you're muted. Are you just waving at us all again?
No, my screen changes when it's screen share. So the 2059 is a negative until
It's showing as a negative because it's a negative in that we have money to spend to balance 0.
Okay.
That's all.
And thank you very much for going through all this, because I'm guessing it's clear. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Anand, do you have any questions? Saoirse?
I look forward to seeing this, Drew. So you can forward that to me, and I'll have a look at it.
Absolutely. Will do.
Okay, so Briandra, I know that there's 13,000 and somewhat dollars of checks to be made out for renters that you have in the queue. What are your plans to do with the $2,059?
Yeah, great question. I have at current point 25 families that were in the queue, 6 of which seemed eligible for the grant compliance. So I think what I'll do is do a sweep through there and see where we can fill that last 2,000 into support, and then just work it right down to the penny. Does that feel good to everybody? Okay. Yay.
Woo!
I know. It's really,
I mean, I can't tell you guys. Woo!
yeah, 55 families. It's really a lot. It represents so many hardships resolved, and I really look forward to kind of working in July to create some of the kind of encapsulation of that and interview families, and if they're willing. There's a lot of data reconciliation and demographic mapping that will go back to the legislative process, and so we will have that as an organization to maybe apply to future grants, or really hope that the the snapshot of this successful program that we ran will engender more funding. There's been a big lapse right now in legislative processing because of a lot of walkouts and whatnot. So the feedback I get from the OHA is just that once that comes resolved, there's a lot of money that could be refunded. So although we not refunded, but funded again into community-based organizations such as ours. So if we have that opportunity, I'm proud of the program that's running, and it's as of right now, like I've closed it with our partners. 211 is stopping the big flow of intakes that come straight into my desk. But with the understanding that if we can get more funding, we can just turn on the switch again, and we'll get back in the saddle and get back to work on it. So it's a good program, and it can be rejuvenated at like that if we have more funding.
Fantastic. And I think it's important that everyone know as well that Thea played an integral part in this. That when it first started, that she was very active in the grant and working on who applied and assisting Doriandra and all of that. So Thea, thank you very much. And did you have a question?
I just really wanted to thank Doriandra. So in the very beginning, we came up with some criteria because Doriandra was running up against a lot of people who were trying to scam the system, sad to say. And so we had to come up with some criteria. And so I looked at it from a tenant perspective and a landlord perspective, and Doriandra and I worked together, but she's done some amazing stuff. And it's really hard to get information out of landlords and to convince landlords to take the money instead of getting rid of someone and take that risk. And then also talking to the people that were applying to say, how are you going to stay out of this? What have you done to move yourself forward? So thank you, Doriandra, because I know it's been pure craziness. It's cats, goldfish, and maybe some dogs thrown in this time. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, and you're welcome. Yeah, and thank you to Anon, because the Public Health and Safety Committee was an incredible process thinking and making, and so I appreciate you as my lead on this, Anon, because you brought many salient points when we were trying to develop like how this was going to roll out, and Thea brought one of them to point right now, which was that it was such a kind of so many balls up in the air in terms of making sure that a landlord wouldn't just accept this huge check from us and then just go ahead and evict the person. So thank you, Anon, for like really getting that stuck in my head, because I think that helped create the conversations that happened between landlords and myself and tenants. So yeah, just amazing. Really great work from everybody. Thank you, Anon, Thea, Margaret, everybody on the Public Health and Safety Board were fabulous.
I do want to say I know that some of you have received some crazy emails from me, and we've been in some meetings, and lots of things have happened. And in the past month, I really think we have learned. We have gone through a tremendous learning curve on exactly how to execute being a nonprofit, what to do with the grant, what we're entitled to, what we're not, reporting, what can be reported, what isn't. For a long time, we were told that we just got to keep 10% of the money, because that was just our fee for administrating the grant, that was our money, we got to keep it. Well, that's actually not the truth. We met with OHA the other day, and that we do get 10% of the money, but that 10% is for things like the lawyer, things like QuickBooks. It's for essentials that fall under a category that the grant doesn't cover. It's to manage the grant. So that was a big part of what we were missing when we were looking for the money. But once we went through that, and Drew came on board and started to sort things out, it really, I feel so much better. Okay, Briandra, I think you have some more stuff to cover.
Sure do, and yeah.
Does anyone else have any more comments about this?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Drew, for stepping in and really helping us sort this out. Home stretch here. So, okay, so I'm going to try one more time to share screen, and I think this will work. Let's see. Can y'all see this screen?
I saw it the first time you put it up, and
Okay.
then you did something, and now it's just white. Maybe you could move it back over. It looks like your screen's moved to the side.
It's just white. Okay.
I saw it the first time you put it up.
Okay. Let me try again. Boy.
Doriandra has been on Apple for years and years and years, and working with OHA. They said, stop right now. You take some of that grant money and you go buy a PC. I want you to do that tomorrow, because I'm not meeting you until you have a PC. So
literally what they said. Okay. All right. Let's see here if we can do this. All right.
The great comment. There you go. That's it.
Can y'all see that? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I won't go to the grand screen because it seems to blow out and then y'all can't see it. So, okay, let's dive in here, and bear with me, folks. This is a lot of info. So back in late part of 2021, Ian wrote an incredible grant, which I was really excited to participate with, and we kind of did some brainstorming, and he presented an incredible new project plan to the OHA. As you can see, it had some subtopics that were of great interest to us, and we'd kind of combined a couple elements. But at the end of the day, in March 2022, WCC was not accepted in that initial grant cohort. In October 22, they circled around and said, hey, we have some money we want to give you. And that was coming from the program element 5003, commercial tobacco. And what that really was about was tobacco prevention. And so at that time, given that we were just launching the Housing as Healthcare program, I asked them if we could kind of braid this funding with our existing program, and they were amenable to that. We did not have to do that, and now we have these funds as a standalone new project for the WCC to consider and vote on. Some of the initial numbers here look like this. We were granted $20,000, which is in the bank account now. We have another $5,000 due any day. And then we received a bridge award, which is going to take us through 7/1 through 12/31 in the amount of $6,250. And this bridge award is a kind of a special stopgap that the OHA is doing, again, while legislation gets their budget sorted out for the continuing biennium grant cycle. So as it stands right now, we've been awarded $31,250, which again is a standalone project. What's really exciting is that pending funding at a base minimum in the first part of, oops, and this is a mistake. This means, sorry, I put 2023, but January 1st, 2024 through 2025, we've been told by the OHA fiscal team that the worst case scenario would be a $25,000 funding on top of this current award of $31,250, or up to $100,000. So worst case scenario is we're looking at $56,000 project with some change, or $131,000 project with some change. So those numbers are variable, and again, they're based on how the state functions and manages their budget. The gift and the problem in the one nutshell here is that these funds have to be spent in its initial award by 6/30/23. You'll note that it's the same as our Housing as Healthcare grant deadline spend down, and that's simply because it's just how the biennium awards go. So we have a unique problem on our hands where we have the potential to shift into an entire new project, but we do have to spend that money down now. So OHA has granted permission to the Whiteaker Community Council to shift from tobacco prevention into kind of a more salient aspect, which encroaches a larger subgroup of emergency preparedness. And I, for one, feel that this is a pretty important part of preparing the Whiteaker for issues. When we think about Cascadia Fault Zone blowing, we're literally right on the river there, and there's a lot of reasons that the WIT would be well served as it's been disproportionately marginalized. So one has to kind of wonder what they would do. What would y'all do? What would we do if it all went to hell in a handbasket? So I think that this would be an interesting opportunity for the WCC to work on focusing an emergency preparedness plan that could be scalable in Lane County and perhaps replicable across the state of Oregon to really modernize public health and advance our health equity. I see a potential partnership inherent with the Willamette Farm and Food Coalition, CERT, which stands for Community Emergency Response Team. I am actually a CERT member, and I know Margaret has some ties with that. It's a really interesting process where folks can go down to the 911 center, which is right there by the Whiteaker, and receive a really comprehensive training that covers a stunning amount of problems and processes. In other words, when it all goes down to the CERT agencies are deploying CERT teams. And so it'd really be amazing to get a large base in the Whiteaker CERT authenticated so that when there was a disaster, neighbors are really helping neighbors and we're an immediate base for each other. I see other really easy partnerships with eager to communicate and teach agencies such as the fire department, EPD, EWeb. They've got a really interesting plan for emergency. It's a 12 months program that probably a couple of you have seen. I see a really good immediate easy partnership too with the Whiteaker Community Market as a place where we can do a resource table. I think that the primary goals would be to almost replicate our wellness clinics that we had for the COVID vaccination process into emergency planning training. I feel like these could be held at Scobert Gardens to really plant our resources in a place that is becoming a very vibrant and sustainable place for meeting. You know, we had a really good relationship with the Eugene mission, and we still do. They've really worked on developing the building that we had our clinics in into a much more modern hub. I'm sure that Cheryl would be open to us doing events there. So we really would have to throw a lot of planning at this and do a lot of have you, the board, vote on really how to dial this down into what goals. When we think about grant compliant expenditures for this process, for the specific public health modernization grant, they very much mimic what we are familiar with doing with our larger CBO grant, the one that we're closing out now. All kind of community outreach and education tools in terms of really navigating and creating engagement with the community are compliant expenditures. Advertising packages such as we've done before. So we would recreate some of the incredible Eugene Weekly ads that you're now seeing for the Housing is Healthcare program. We can go ahead and do TV again. We can do radio. So very similar to the last two big, huge campaigns we've done together. It also, of course, manages program salaries for contractors and staff. And this was the super exciting thing. Again, like our past CBO grants, we can put money back directly into Whiteaker businesses for gift cards. So as many of you probably remember, we had this great program where, gosh, everybody, Red Barn, Red Apple, everybody, there's just pretty much everybody was in the Whiteaker businesses were given space and time to sell us gift cards, and then we were able to incentivize community engagement with those at our clinics. So I imagine we would do the same for these training events at the Scobert Gardens. So here's our big problem now. We've got to spend down this $25,000 if we want to embark on this new public health campaign. So I put myself at the top there because I would dive into this and develop this program, just throw everything I have at it for August through December. Then we've got our incredible Drew here doing a whole bevy of work. I'm sorry, I had a little punch list of what his services include. I can send that out later. I just can't switch screens. We've got, so this would be coming in at about 20,000. Then when we think about our clinic supplies, right? They are currently at Eugene Mission, but in their kind of development of that space that we had it stored in, a lot of our stuff was scattered around the mission. And so Thea, thank you, is doing a great job of trying to kind of gather all those parts up. And, you know, we had pop-up tents, canopies, we had many chairs, folding chairs, we had all kinds of infrastructure that we could just relate right into an emergency training clinic. So I would really like us to get all those and spend some of this grant money on a storage space that's in the Whiteaker that we're just able to roll up, get the stuff out, take it to Scobert Gardens, have an event, take it back, and that way we keep track of our stuff. We spent a lot of money on really valuable things. We have a defibrillator for emergencies. We've got a lot of medical supplies. We have I think 1,500 KN95 masks that are left over from pandemic that we should have on hand, ready to give out at these new public health for fire. You know, when we go into fire smoke season, we have a lot of stuff that we can parlay from the COVID clinics into this new plan. So these are just like kind of rough ideas. I know it's going to take a lot of dialing in, but this is a proposal. Here's kind of an overall projected timelines. So as I did with the Housing is Healthcare program, Anand and I kind of put our heads together and like, who will our partners be? So I spent a lot of time reaching out, talking to folks, talking to the city. This would be the same process. Spend 1 or 2 months, 2 months there, really diving in to see what's going on in other adjacent neighborhoods, how other neighborhood associations are looking at disaster planning, kind of like launching how we want to do it, and building partnerships would occur in the first 2 months here. I believe we could launch this program at the top of October and be right up to have our first community event in Scobert Gardens or Eugene Mission, however you folks want to do it. In October, I feel like we could jump then into a monthly event planning and then do a lot of training module releases through the end of the year. Now, when January 1st comes around, we are kind of paused and holding our breaths to see whether we receive an additional 25,000 or up to 100,000. And those numbers are really kind of develop a plan, obviously, for moving forward and see what we can do. I'd really like to very, very specifically dial in for folks, whether they're unhoused or housed, a plan where we're able to spend money to distribute emergency kits that are approved and co-created by our partnerships, and really looking to see what people need, what is effective. And then we would just literally have the remainder then of the grant biennium, which would go March 2024 through June of 2025. And so at that point, it would be really a point of like getting everybody back together in one place and saying, how do we want to go forward, and really allocating and budgeting what is in the grant buckets then for the best distribution. So that's kind of the plan. And I welcome any questions, or if anybody needs us to go back to a different slide, please let me know.
There are a couple questions in the chat.
Okay, let me grab those.
Let
me stop that.
Thea said, well, she said she thinks that we need to share with the city manager. Great. So the bridge award, does that also have to be spent by the end of the month?
It does not. Yeah, the bridge award is meant to take us through now through December, and it will be doled out in monthly payments. So it would probably be let's see, 6,025 divided by 5, so 1,000 something every month.
Okay. And Stephen, and I tried to answer, do we really have a deadline for this at the end of the month in 9 days, or is the deadline 6:30? 6:30 is in 9 days, Stephen.
Yeah. Yeah, the deadline is absolutely 6/30/2023. It holds the same placement as the OHA other grant that we're closing. And it's hard for us because, again, we weren't initially awarded back in March, so we weren't in the original grant cohort group. And I think OHA recognizes that, but despite many meetings and emails, I was not able to get that pushed forward for us. So it's kind of it's a real tight conundrum.
I don't know who was first. Thea, did you have a question?
Stephen, go first.
Thanks, Thea. The proposed projected timeline that Doriander presented appeared to have activities going through into 2024. How does that timeline work with a funding source that has to be closed out by the end of this month? They seem to be in contradiction there.
Great question. Yeah, because this grant started for other community-based organizations back in March of 2022. WCC wasn't part of that original grant cohort, unfortunately, or we would have had something in place already. They came in and said in October, here's some leftover funding for that, and we invite you to use it. So we're joining the grant cohort exceedingly late in the cycle, and that is a real problem, but it is also a benefit. Does that make sense?
Not really, no, because I assume that the timeline is going to reflect the expenditure of the funds, which is after the deadline at the end of this month.
Can I respond to that, Miranda?
Yeah, please.
So, the $25,000, yes, we have to spend that by the end of this month. 20,000 of it we've received. We still haven't even gotten 5,000, and we're watching every day. So I don't know if you're familiar with any CERT activities, but for instance, we could reach out to the fire departments or to there's a CERT has a county office as well as the Eugene City has an office, and what they do for free. We could invite them to come into Scobert Garden and we could do a class on something. There's many things that we can do that would not charge us anything. And with the bridge award that she's referring to, that would give us about $1,000 a month, we could use that to do things to help get people to the events, as well as the gift cards that she's referring. So it's not a real expensive, it's not really expensive to put on a CERT activity.
We have done the Know Your Neighbor training. We coordinated the Know Your Neighbor training at our end of North Polk a couple of years ago.
And it's something similar to that. And that it didn't cost you any money, right?
No, it's part of the CERT preliminary training for outreach into neighborhoods, apparently.
Right. Thea? Or Stephen, are you done? Are you good? Thea?
So I was in with Doriandra on a lot of the meetings with OHA, and basically, Stephen, we would end up paying Doriandra in advance with the $20,000 to organize the work from now. So we'd pay her this month and she would continue working through December. That puts a lot of trust on us, but she's been doing amazing work for us for months and months and months. And that gives her her salary for all those months, but it has to be paid in advance. And OHA approved that for salaries. We would also be paying Drew. Doriandra, can you pop the screen back up so that we can all see it? Because the teacher in me, I'm a visual and auditory. I just can't handle it.
That does answer my question, actually. That's,
yeah. So we would need to vote to decide in that screen right there that she's got on there that we would pay in advance using that $25,000 because it has to be spent by the end of the month. And then she gets to continue busting her hiney organizing this next new grant. And it really does look like, because of all the work she's done and how much of a relationship she's built with OHA, we're in their loop, guys. She's done an amazing job, and they're going to keep coming to us and saying we have more money. So that's where we have to decide as a board, do we want to continue working on this stuff?
I motion that we continue working on this stuff.
And to make a comment as well.
I'll second it, Dan, if you're motioning it.
I am.
I do have one comment to make. This also, so I mentioned earlier that they just understand we're in 2023. For many people, that's the end of the fiscal year. I know because I deal with it at work. I deal with a lot of government agencies. The fiscal year is over. All their budgets are on hold. We just now finished our 2021 taxes. 2021 was still when Ian was the chair. So those taxes, like I said, you know, we're going back through them. We're making sure that they're right. Because they're over $500,000, it does put us in a different bracket. But we don't even know if that's accurate. QuickBooks needs to be cleaned up still. And there's a lot of work to be done, but there's also 2022 taxes to be done. And then we're in 2023, and at the end of the year, 2023 taxes will be done. And so part of what Drew does is he also does taxes and our 1099s. And he pays for QuickBooks.
So Margaret, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or further?
So what is the motion exactly?
To move forward and pay Doriandra and Drew using this $25,000
And
by the
Den,
end of the year. Den has motioned and I've seconded it, but we need to have further discussion. If anybody has
And-
questions.
so my question would be, is everyone okay with Doriandra spending the additional money as how she sees appropriate, that's what she does now. You know, she manages the grant, so there'll still be some money left, which I'm sure she'll discuss with Anand and you and all of that, but we need to spend the additional money. We won't have another meeting. Is everyone all right with Doriandra making the decision on what's grant compliant? Which she's been doing now for 2 years or better. Are there any objections to that? I just would like to add that onto the motion.
How we
Okay.
vote?
Any other question? Any other comments? All right, I vote yes. All those in favor?
I vote yes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Anand, are you there to vote?
Yeah, he's
5,
smiling
6.
face.
We have 6 yeses.
And Dan, what did you vote?
I did.
It looks like it's unanimous.
7 yeses.
Fantastic. Okay,
That's great.
Doriandra, do you have anything else?
Thank you. And I'm really excited. I can't wait to work with Anand again and Den and Drew and Margaret and all of you, because I think this is really super exciting. We have a brand new public health campaign to make. So yay. So yeah, please send me ideas too. And
I
we'll
still have my bag from the last time, Anand, when we did the bags. I still have a bag with the disaster preparedness things in there. I gave them to all our
Right, Kathy
tenants.
Feely and all those folks. And we did a thing together. We had some other people that were involved, but things kind of petered out because most of us just didn't have the time to keep it up. But if we have a dedicated staff person helping out, damn, we could do a bunch.
Yes. Actually, Saoirse had her hand up. Saoirse, did you have a question or a comment?
No, I'm sorry. I forgot my hand was raised. Thank you.
That's okay. You just wave hello.
Hello.
Okay. And anything else regarding this?
Well, just real quick about leadership within this Margaret, will this fall under Anand's committee now, public health and safety again?
Yes, that's what it is. It's public health and safety.
Perfect. Okay.
Safety being the operative word.
Yeah, I just want to make sure Anand
And health.
is good to go, because I'll rely on you as my lead again, and I hope we can get a lot of planning done at our public health and safety meetings.
Yep.
And then bring our processes to the board for bigger discussion. Yay! Okay,
Fantastic. Stephen,
let's do this.
you're muted, Stephen.
Just wanted to mention that Megan Kemple.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, she coordinated what we were doing at our end of North Polk, and I recommend that Doriandra make contact with Megan. Megan K at efn.org.
Okay.
Thanks, Stephen. I
I'll
was trying
put
to
that.
remember
I'll
what her
put
name
that in
was.
the chat. I'll
Thank
put that in
you.
the chat.
Thank you, Stephen. That's great. And then, yeah, I'm excited because the CERT team leadership person for a long time was Patence Winningham, and now she's moved on to a larger process management through the City of Eugene disaster preparedness. So she's an excellent asset. So yeah, we'll just get all the folks in line and start communicating. So great. Thank
It's
you.
a huge thing right now. Anand?
Yeah, so back when I used to run things and I was on the NLC, we actually worked together. And I remember Carlos in particular I think he's from the Friendly neighborhood, but I think he might be somewhere high in the echelons of the local CERT stuff, but he'd be a great guy to get a hold of.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, just for placemaking too, so you all understand mine and Drew's timing. I'll be taking the first 2 weeks off in July. I'm gonna do another fun project I do for the Oregon Bach Festival and kind of like settle my brain for a little bit. So then I'll be back at the desk for the second half of July, and that'll be the time that I'll wrap up our big grants, and Drew and I will work together to just really tighten it all up with OHA. And then I'll be good to go to start on this new public health campaign August 1st. So if I don't respond to emails about that stuff, just trust me, I'll be back August 1st to dive in. I got to close one thing before we start another. So thank you.
All right, fantastic. One thing, just are there any more comments regarding this? Sounds good. I would, just in case, and because we are we're not having a meeting in July, and if anything I've learned is that there are bumps in the road and things happen that you don't expect, and we only have 9 days. If something happens where a decision needs to be made regarding the housing grant between now and the 30th, I need to put a motion on the floor that it's okay for the executive team to make those decisions together. Is everyone on the executive team good with that? Dan, I know you are. Claire, you are. Okay, fantastic. So do I have a second?
I'll second that. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, all those in favor? All right, fantastic. It was unanimous. All right, Thea, do we have questions, or do we just have our hands so we could say, woo? Oh my gosh,
I was late to that hand raise.
I was trying to count the votes, Margaret.
Oh, well, sorry about that. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 7. I think there's 7 of us here, right? 7 board members. And actually, Stephen has a vote as well because he is on the Public Health and Safety Committee. So you actually can vote, Stephen, if you would like. I can't hear you.
Since it's so recent, and I just just got the information this evening, I would prefer to abstain at this point.
No
But
problem.
I'm enthusiastic, but would like to do more studying.
I'd like to raise a point of order if I could.
Dan?
Yeah. The charter actually states that Stephen can vote as a member of this committee with full, voting rights, but I don't believe he can vote as a board member on board business at a board meeting. But
Yeah, I think he can vote on board business that has to do with his committee.
Okay, all right.
That's my interpretation. It may be wrong, but as long as it has to do with the Public Health and Safety Committee, he has a vote.
I think only within.
I'll leave my vote as an abstain, so it covers all realities. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
No. So, Thea, what do you think?
No clue. I'm too tired.
Okay. All right. Well, it passed. We're good to go.
Yeah.
And we'll research that. That's a good point of order. We'll look at that. Thea, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Oakshire Eyes. So August 9th, when our general meeting is, we have safety and sanitation. And it is an all-day event, but they really want us there. So Margaret, you've said 7 to 9, the board will be there. I may go down a little early, but it is an all-day event. Megan is working on the advertising package, and we're going to need to start putting that out there. I am reaching out to Santa Pack. I just haven't had time, but I will be reaching out to see about doing a partnership with trash cans around the neighborhood to see if they could do that. Because one of the things a lot of people have said, if we had some more trash cans, that would be helpful, because LTD, their trash cans fill up right away. And I know at one time there was someone that was offering to pick up trash and take it to the dump. So that may be another way. But this fundraiser was around safety and sanitation. So we're pretty wide open. Also, Emily Proudfoot, I'm still waiting to hear back with her about Adopt a Pole in WJ to do some artwork on those poles. So that's a possibility. And then I did hear from Christy Haddon. They have been putting a counter on Railroad down there by Polk and Emerald Village, between the bus stop and auto body shop. And when I met with the city manager last week, she said, well, it has to do with the number of cars that go by as to whether they'll put a light up. And I had a little brain warp, because we already have one light down by Dairy Mart. So there's no reason they shouldn't be able to put another light. That was a really bad excuse. So when Christy comes back, if they have decided we don't have enough traffic on Railroad to give us a pedestrian crossing there for the kids and the seniors and people that live over in that section, I will point that out to them. So I'm still waiting basically to hear from the city for that. And then the Railroad is coming in to clean up. So I just got an email on that. I know, Derek, we lost our couch. They took it away today. Sorry. Oh, come on, Dan. It was a really nice couch, and it actually had cushions for 2 weeks. So I think those are all my updates. But at some point, if you can't make the 7 to 9 meeting, definitely go earlier. And we still need more trivia questions for you longtime Whiteaker residents for our meeting in person at Oakshire. Okay. Grizzly Granola has given us 5 packs of granola to give away. And we have a couple other businesses that are willing to give us some gift certificates for trivias. Okay. Nice. And EPD is doing some patrols with their housing officers to help people out in the parks. Excellent. Any questions?
Yeah, you're much appreciated as always.
Oh,
your hard work and dedication is.
Thank you. And I am only starting to read my emails on Mondays and Wednesdays, guys. I had to give myself some hours because I was literally working anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7 hours a day on WCC stuff. Because not only do I answer questions from you guys, but I answer questions from neighbors. I get stopped in walks and parks and during dinner. And so I just decided Mondays and Wednesdays will be my Whiteaker day. That way that will help when other people come in. And then don't forget tomorrow night and the next night. So Thursday and Friday, the Rose Garden is the Roving Players, Shakespeare. And then Maury Jacobs by Grand is, and I will put a post on Facebook, is Saturday and Sunday night. And it's an all female cast for Julius Caesar.
That will be fun. So which one is happening at your house or in front of your house? Isn't there
That's
one?
Saturday and Sunday night. And then,
Great. Are they going to put up chairs and
yeah, you bring your own chairs is what you do. I usually haul, so I don't walk over. I can see it from my deck. So I
that's
just
what I'm
get the
talking
side view.
about.
And then don't forget that we have the Scoburg Gardens meeting, the planning meeting. Saoirse, do you remember what night that was? I have it on one of my pieces of paper.
Yeah, it's next week at 6 p.m. at Scoburg Gardens Park on Wednesday, June 28th.
Thank you.
Saoirse,
Sure.
could you repeat that, please, Saoirse? The 28th at what time?
It's at 6 p.m. I'll put it in the chat as well.
Okay, super.
Thank you, Saoirse. Derek, do we have a date for the barbecue?
I texted him and asked him.
Not yet, but I did have the railroad move the couch over here, so we'll have plenty of place to sit.
Well, we can all bring our own chairs, you know. Okay, do we have any proposed? So in August, we will have our meeting at Oakshire, and it'll be more of a meet and greet with the neighborhood. I believe $1 for $1 from every beer that they sell that day will go to the Whiteaker Community Council. So please send all of your friends, neighbors, you know, and let's be there from 6 to 9, and it'll be more of a social thing. COVID, you know, hit us all pretty hard, and we as a council have not been out and about together in the public for a very long time. And actually, I think the last time that we were really was we all went to Oakshire because we did have the ability to sit outside, which is great. So you don't have to, you can be inside, outside, but please, everyone come, and it's just a nice time to come and meet our neighbors and meet the community. And I do know that Thea, I believe, is going to invite everyone that she can and get them there to buy some beer and also to meet the community as well.
Yeah, we do have, I believe the city manager's coming, and I'm going to invite some other city staff so we can all put pressure on them. Let's see if I can get the mayor to come. I'm not sure. And I'll invite our current city council member, our interim. And I would imagine Barbie Walker, who's running against her, will also come. And I guess that would be something we should be thinking about, whether in our heads, if we'd like to have another forum and actually do an in-person one in September before the vote, or October, because
I would say yes, if you can email that to me so we can put it on the agenda for our actual board meeting in August, that would be great. We would be doing a disservice to the community to not have them both come.
And the mission is still offering, they would love to host hybrid. And I've had a couple neighbors stop and ask if we're going to do hybrids again. So
we do have a little bit of time. Does anyone, I get asked too, does anyone have any suggestions on how we can really, Claire, are you going to do a letter or a newsletter?
I can, but I can't do that by myself. So
Fair enough.
I need content. Why? I mean, do you have an idea of what you want to
Well,
put?
yeah, I think that there are, you know, it keeps being said that there's a lot of people that are not on social media, that don't follow Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. I actually I sent out an agenda last month, and I took all of the emails. I don't know if you all read that Cindy Kohler sent out. It was a questionnaire regarding your neighborhood council, and every neighborhood it was done. And I don't know, it was sent to all of you, but on the bottom of it, it had people's email addresses, and it said, if you want to be contacted by your community council, please put your email address on there. So I sent the last agenda, I just copy and pasted all of those email addresses. And I've actually had a few people email me back and say, yes, I want to be emailed and I want to be kept apprised of what's happening and when your meetings are and all of that. So doing a newsletter and focusing on the fact of if people are interested in coming to an in-person meeting, doing some kind of poll, because we would know that it went to every, at least for the most part, almost every resident in the Whiteaker, then we could really get a good idea of who wants to come to a hybrid meeting. And the people that are not on social media would have an opportunity to voice their opinions. I think that's, that would be a great service to the community. Any
So,
comments on that?
yeah, I have a question. So just to confirm, when you say newsletter, you don't mean like a physical mailer, you're talking about something that would be in people's email?
No, I meant a physical mailer
Okay.
because we don't have everyone in the neighborhood's email. But it would be a way for us to get one
When would you want that to come out?
that, before, when is the election, Thea?
Elections are in November, but what I put in the chat was we could do a postcard that asks people for their email address and whether they want a survey question, whether they want hybrid or Zoom.
Well, I think we're talking
Meetings.
about two things here because we're talking about doing a physical mailer, which has nothing to do with their emails, but we could also collect emails. So if I'm asking for the physical mailer, when do we want that to come out?
What do you think, Thea?
I don't know. I mean, we have a whole board here.
I mean,
Right.
what's the time sensitive thing? It sounds like this was launched by the in-person candidate stuff. I mean, I just want to work backwards here because if I'm going to do it, I need some deadlines.
Dan?
Yeah, so we're talking about election season, right? Which we're talking about the election next November.
Correct.
Okay, well then the month before would be the logical. So that would be October, the general meeting, right, of October. And so when would you want to announce that? Probably back up 30 days, announce it in September.
And so if you're going to announce whether you're going to have in-person or hybrid, then you would want to collect email and collect a survey prior to that. So I am proposing, if we're doing a mailer, that we have a postcard that comes, prepaid postcard that comes back that says, here's my email.
It seems like you'd want to do it in August then, wouldn't you?
In August. I mean, it gives
That's
us
what I
time to
think.
put it together, to send it out. And then, I mean, by Stephen, then we could have a mailer, or we can just do a postcard. We can design a postcard that says, we're thinking about this, and then do an email mailer later on. I mean, there's lots of different ways to go about it.
Something else too that, and part of why I hesitate to answer your question, Claire, and I can clarify this tomorrow with Cindy Kohler, is I believe that we get almost $1,000 a quarter or $3,000 a year to spend on, how many mailers do we do a year normally? 2? Is that right? Or was it 3?
I was doing one per quarter last year.
Okay, so we
told
get
me to
money every quarter. And when I saw it, I could have sworn it said $1,000, of which we never spend the money. So I do think that money is in there to pay for the mailer, but let me confirm that, and I'll just CC you on the email, and we can see what she says as far as how much money that we do have. Is everyone in agreement that it would be nice to do a mailer or a postcard that asks people if they would like to do a hybrid, an in-person, or a Zoom meeting? Fantastic. So how about we figure out how much money is there, and we'll get you some kind of deadline that works for you. And Doriandra said she would be happy to work with you on it after the 30th. which would be great because she could also maybe we could announce the results of Housing is Healthcare. I mean, that would be a great thing to talk about and to let the neighborhood know. I'm not exactly sure of the numbers, so don't quote me on this, but I do think that we spent close to half of the grant in the past 6 weeks. Is that correct? And that was just simply because we did advertising and because we just let her loose and told her to make it happen. And it's amazing to me that we actually spent the money and people just started coming out like droves and saying, yes, please, I need the help. So
Yeah, I can definitely put together a mailer. Just like keep me in the loop for what is happening when. My brain's kind of fried right now from 4-Day Music Festival in Tennessee, so I'm like kind of slowly keeping up. But yes, sounds good to me.
yeah, and Saoirse said she can help as well. So that'll be great, and we'll just I'll put you and I'll include Den and Andrew in the email as well because it's got money and whatever the budget is from the city in there and what we can spend it on, and we'll get Brandra and Saoirse in as well. And then once we figure out the money part, I'll just let you guys do what you do, and I'm good with that. Because after this, after the 30th, you probably won't see me until we are all at Oakshire in August. All right. I think we're ahead of the game. Does anyone have anything else for a future agenda? Claire?
Not for a future agenda, but if we are going to be moving to ask the community soon about how they feel about in-person meetings, I think in parallel we should just drop a line to the mission and say, hey, we're thinking of asking the community for in-person and just kind of like bringing them along with us. Because I think it's just, good show of partnership and keeping them in the loop is good. And then also among us be thinking about like who would be there to like represent at those in-person meetings if those do happen, because I would assume one of us at least would have to be there. So.
But those are all great points. Anand?
So if we're gonna ask them if they want in-person meetings and or hybrid meetings, we should tell them where we're planning on doing it, because you may get different feedback from that.
Good point, Anand.
That's a very good point. Den?
I want to just mention that it's a good segue to bring up that I managed to get our traditional meeting space back from Head Start. They've allowed us to go back in whenever we'd like to. So if we want to continue using that space, we can. We just have to inform them, tell them what our schedule would be for using that space.
I heard through the grapevine that they were already starting classes in that space and they're already using it for something else. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard.
I have a call from the I guess he's the manager of the building spaces. I've forgotten. He's the programs manager, something like that. He reached out to me and said that the space was available.
Okay.
We simply have to speak up with the schedule that we would like to use the space and see if they can work that in.
So maybe that would be something that we want to ask the community how they feel about. I do know that we have talked to the mission already and that Cheryl is more than happy to help us. It's a much bigger space, so there's a much bigger you have a lot more. You're not crowded into a room where you're right next to someone. So and they'll feed us, and feeding us, they're actually teaching. Well, they're teaching people a job. I don't know if you all are familiar with what they're doing over there right now, but it's amazing, and the community really should be aware of the changes that they've made. They just invited the whole neighborhood to a graduation, of people that have jobs, that have got their high school degree, their license, and are moving out into their own apartments. Thea.
So Cheryl did, so Dorinda was correct. I've been trying to corral all our supplies that are at the mission. And Cheryl did say if we wanted to attempt hybrid meetings again, we were more than welcome. If we wanted to use their new education hub, we are more than welcome. They want to keep partnering with us. And I agree with you, Claire, we do need to, if that's something we're going to do, we need to reach out. I will be talking with him next week. Their new director for their programs there, so I can talk to him, and I can also reach out to them about their it's Beth, I think is her name, for meetings. The only issue I see with Head Start, besides the smallness of it, is that there is no technology, and one of us has to then go to the city, borrow the technology from the city, because the city does have it to loan it to us. We have to learn how to use it, and we have to use it. So if we're going to do hybrid, and I'm not game, but somebody else might be, and the mission does it all for us, plus they make you amazing banana bread.
And charcuterie plates.
I think the question is not, is the mission going to do well by us? Obviously they will. The question is, who's going to come? And
correct, there are people afraid of the mission.
And that is an issue. And that's why if you're gonna send out the card saying, do you want to do this? Let them know where you plan it, or give them options or something. Who's going to show up where? I mean, what's the priority? Is the priority supporting the mission and our relationship with them, or is the priority getting as many people in the community as possible? I don't know if those are divergent or not, but it'd be good to find out.
Claire?
So I think I heard both you, Margaret, and Thea say that people in the community have come up to you personally and said, hey, what's the status with in-person meetings? Maybe next time that happens, if you would be okay with asking them how they feel about meeting at the mission, so we could just, start to do that outreach right off the bat and ask the people who are actually asking, what do you think about the mission? And I don't know if this is any reassurance to people who might be doubting the mission, but for my day job, I attend once in a while the Emerald Valley Development Professionals EVDP events that are held at the mission. It's a basically gathering space for nonprofit professionals. And it's nothing but 10 out of 10 experience, wonderful service, food, atmosphere. I've never been hassled. I think it's time that we break down the stigma around the mission.
I agree 100%. And I think we can do both.
We could ask in a postcard, would you attend mission or our old space? And the people Claire, the people I have talked to, I have asked them, and one of the people was someone who went to our voting one. She said, I was the only person there from the neighborhood. And she was totally blown away by how nice it was and how much it changed. She was a long-term resident. And she's like, she said, you guys should go back to the mission, because she wanted connection with people again. And then the other 3 people that have asked me, I've said, well, we've considered the mission, but we didn't get any response. They didn't have Facebook. So, but there was no hesitation there. So
I'm also breaking down bias for sure. I mean, if we can do that, that's great.
Well, it's all in the presentation. It really is. It's all in how we present it. And if we talk about how the mission is perceived, and how much it's changed, and the fact that Cheryl lived there for 6 months herself and saw some of the changes that needed to be made and was hands-on, and how many graduates they've had, and and approach it from that perspective. I think everyone is supportive of people getting off the street and into their own homes, regardless of what your opinion on anything is. We all want to see people do better and succeed, and they are actually making it happen there. And if we approach it from that perspective, we may find that we get a great, we get a good response. If we approach it like, oh, I don't know, it's at the mission. Are you sure you want to do it there? We're not going to get such a great response.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we don't even, I mean, this is my opinion, but I personally would not want to include the, would you rather meet in the mission or the Head Start room? Because right now the Head Start room does not have anything we need to run meetings. And so that just creates more work for us. Whereas we know that the mission can do it. We've had meetings there before. And I think the question instead that we put in a postcard is, would you come to an in-person meeting? And we don't give them a choice of where it is. We just tell them, or we just ask them if they're interested, if it's happening or not.
Okay, I think that's a mistake.
Oh, well, we actually, I meant to say we could tell them where it is, but we don't, I think, give people the option of where it's happening, because someone could be like, well,
That's fine.
I want you to come into my living room and have your meeting there. That's not going to work for us, right? I
Right.
think that as a board, we need to meet at the place that has the most resources and space available for our needs. Again, just my personal opinion, but
Either way is fine by me. I mean, my concern is just making sure we're getting as many people as we can. That's all. And if the mission's a problem, we need to find out. And
has
maybe it's
anyone
not.
heard?
Maybe it's not, and that's good.
Well,
Has
we
anyone had
also want to be in a safe space.
Well,
I'm
has
sorry,
anyone had
Claire.
experiences with anyone saying, I will not go to X event because it's at the mission? Because I've never
Oh
heard.
yeah. Oh
Really?
yeah. I hear it all the time.
And when you engage with them, what's their response? They're like, no, 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 I won't believe it's not a terrible place, or
That they just go by what they've heard from other people, even though I have tried to explain on many occasions that things have vastly improved and done all the things that you guys have been talking about. But some people are really stuck in their ways. I mean, it can be difficult.
I mean, I don't want to say their loss, but
Well, my thing is this: anecdotal evidence is fine, but where's the actual data? And that's what I'm saying. If we do the postcard and just say, how would you attend a meeting, one of our meetings, if it was at the Eugene mission, and just ask them, and then we'll have an actual data point to go with. Right now, it's anecdotal evidence, which is useless.
Okay, anything else? In closing, I think I would say that we're excited to offer the opportunity, or we're happy to know that the mission has offered us the opportunity to feed us, to offer us a large space so that we can have safe space apart, as well as run the audiovisual equipment for us to perform a hybrid meeting.
That sounds nice.
That we can just go in and participate, and we don't have to worry about running the equipment. We can actually participate with the people that show up in the meeting, rather than worrying about who's on what screen, where, when, and why, because they do all that for us. And that's a service that they will provide. And that's how I would present it. Claire?
Sounds fine by me.
So this is not related, but it is Whiteaker related. This is just a plug I want to give for Shift Community Cycles grand opening event. It's this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at their new location, which is directly across Monroe from Beer Garden. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be pizza, shave ice, some bike stands available for work, and yeah, it's going to be an awesome event. So hope to see you guys there.
Fantastic. They did some work for me. I took a bike in there and they tuned it up and did a great job, and I was very happy. And I was very happy to support them as well. If you haven't been in the store, I suggest you go check it out. They have some great stuff and a great staff. Okay. Are we good? Drew, welcome. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Savannah, how did you enjoy your first meeting?
It was great. Thank you for letting me sit in and listen.
Good, welcome. And
Thank you.
is 4160, is that who, do we know who that is?
Is that
I'm not sure.
Marcus, perhaps?
Is that you, Marcus?
No, Marcus joined with an iPhone earlier, and I'm not sure that he's here anymore.
Okay.
No, his kids are in swimming lessons.
Well, 8675309, welcome to the meeting, and we hope that you enjoyed it. And we're closing out early at 8:48, and you all have a fantastic July. Briandra, I'm sure, call me tomorrow, and Drew, let me know if you need anything. And the two of you, please stay in touch and do what you need to do to make it happen. All right. You now have each other's numbers, and
Who
we're
would you like
done.
me to who would you like me to send the notes to?
Well, let's Claire, please.
You can send them
Okay.
to me and I'll drop them in the document I have going.
Sure. I will.
Claire,
I'll
how do
be
you
happy
want
to
our
do
hours?
Well, if you know more about who collects those hours, I would love to know that because I've been collecting hours for the last 2 rounds as secretary and no one has asked me for them at all from the city, nor was I given instruction on where those actually go. So I'd like to find that out before I collect hours any further.
Oh, okay. I think it's Cindy Kohler, but I'll check in with her. Because they tie our volunteer hours into money that they give us. They give us credit for it.
They haven't asked me at all about any of those, so if you can talk to Cindy and let me know, that would be awesome.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Thea, because we talked about the same thing earlier today.